So, we should be live. Let me know if anybody has any sort of, if they see anything. I think we're good. Everybody ready?
Yeah, it looks like you're up and going.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and hello to all of you Arkhamers, and welcome to another day at FarkhamCon. I'm Harrison, and I'm here with Dan, Dane, and Ben, and our friends as well, who we'll introduce to you later. Welcome to the Miskatonic University Radio Feud event at FarkhamCon. Hope everyone's having a great con so far. We are happy to have all of you here. So, I'm Harrison again, but I wanted to introduce you to our pod members. So let's start with Dane. You can give yourself an introduction, or maybe who your favorite investigator is.
It's me, Dane. I think most people know that my favorite investigator is Ursula at this time. Might change in the near future. My favorite class is Survivor, much to Dan's chagrin. And I live in Connecticut.
Wait, since when is it Survivor? When did that happen?
It changes every 2 weeks. It's fine. I'm Dan. Hello from California. My favorite investigator is probably Mandy. Yeah, welcome to the show. Happy FarkhamCon.
And we have Ben now. Hey, Ben.
We're doing Ben now. Just trying to.
That's a lovely wallpaper.
Yeah, I'm in New Jersey now, my girlfriend's house. So I was trying to get my setups going. But I'm Ben.
I guess there are things worse than
favorite investigator. Is that what we're doing? The favorite investigator?
Sure.
It's usually Zoe. I like Zoe for her theme mostly. She's not actually the best investigator that I play. Oh, Luke's also incredible now. I like Luke a lot. But yeah. Zoe, hello the Mirror Chef.
I like Wendy, but I'm pretty sure I play her wrong. But okay, so we're here with some contestants today, and I'll introduce their teams. So we actually have our castmates on the teams. So Dane is going to be on team Ashley Clark with Jeff, Michael, and Graham. So Jeff, why don't you introduce yourself the same way?
Hi, I'm Jeff. Favorite investigator, I think I'm going to go with Yorick right now, just because playing things out of the trash is, well, it's enjoyable.
Oh, yes.
Michael?
Hey, I'm Mike. My favorite investigator is probably Silas. I think I mentioned this to Harrison earlier, probably for my undying love of Aquaman. But I like Silas, but Mystic is my favorite class.
And Graham?
Well, I'm a little bit of an Ursula fan too, but we got to mix it up a little bit. So lately, Tony is the powerhouse. If people are sleeping on Tony, you got to wake up.
I know Dane uses a D10 to track how many actions Tony gets, and after
I almost said my favorite investigator is like Haley or Sports Medal or something, but I figured I'd say that and see if Graham did it instead. But no, missed opportunity.
I know it is. Sports Medal would then be the correct answer.
Hell yeah.
That runner.
And on our other team is Team Baron Samedi, and we have two castmates on there. So Dan and Ben, who we've already met, but we also have Tim. Same question.
Well, my favorite class is definitely Survivor. Today, my favorite investigator is Calvin.
Nice.
Hey.
And why? I don't know. He's just fun.
We're all masochists here. So we have. Then we also have Curtis.
Hello, I'm Curtis. My favorite investigator was going to be Tony, but if we're having to be unique, then I'm very fond of Roland Banks. The classics are classics for a reason.
A classic, yeah, absolutely.
I still play Roland, but I always go insane. All right, so let's start soon. So I'm going to go through the rules of our game, Farkham Feud, and then we can begin. So the rules of the game are as follows. In each round, one team will get to select a category and an option from our board. In today's game, we'll be playing with the following categories: the Corset, Dunwich Legacy, the Path to Carcosa, the Forgotten Age, the Circle Undone, Arkham Flexes, and Oops. Each of the questions will highlight an achievement, action, or event that players have done throughout their history of playing Arkham Horror. We polled over 100 Arkhamers to get this poll of questions and answers. An important note, pollers can choose not to answer questions if they didn't complete a campaign or a question didn't apply to them. So let's do a sample round. We'll start with Team Ashley Clark. From a polling pool of over 100 Arkhamers, what percentage of players have ever defeated a teammate with an effect from an encounter card? So, Fate of All Fools, you name it. So Team Ashley Clark, you can come up with a number between 0% to 100%. On what percentage of players do you think have done that?
Defeated a teammate. I mean, that's some real
So that'd
grief,
be like
huh?
also accidentally getting shot in the face with like a shotgun or something with like double or nothing shenanigans or whatever, right?
We might get into that a little bit later, but specifically an effect
Okay.
of Fate
A
of All
specific
Fools,
encounter.
or
Gotcha.
maybe applying something to somebody's threat area that ended up biting them in the butt later.
Or stabbing them to get rid of possession.
There you go.
know.
That's what. Yeah. All right.
This still feels pretty low to me.
Yeah.
We're still trying to work together to complete these scenarios, so I'd imagine it'd be fairly low.
Okay. Gotta come up
I
with
have a
a
question
percentage.
about this game. Are we allowed to poke and prod the other team while they're discussing?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Distract them, or are we supposed to be quiet?
Oh no.
I mean, unless you have a really solid way to confuse them, it's probably more likely to help than hurt. So I'm gonna try to stay quiet.
I also
I
encourage
would
I
guess-
encourage the audience to feel free to heckle as well.
I would guess maybe something around like 11 to 15. What do you guys think? Team?
I mean, that
I
even
was gonna say
feels
about
high to me.
20. Yeah, I think you're right on.
Okay.
So maybe 13% would be a good, like
Oh.
reasonable guess.
I still feel like that's high, so I would go into the single digits. But if we're coming to a consensus, maybe we're pushing more like 10 to 12. You think
To
like
10.
like 1 out of 7 people have like, hey, you handle this, rotting remains, auto fail, stand in your mouth, stupid Roland Banks, like you're dead. Like what? How often does that happen?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
So this is a sample round, so you don't
Let's
have
go
to
with
worry
10.
about your points. Okay, so they're gonna go for 10.
What do we feel about 10?
Are you
Cool.
going for 10? So I'll use this tracker to kind of guide that, and that's around 10. But the other team gets to guess whether they think that the actual answer is higher or lower than the first team's guess. They also get a point. And they get a point if the answer is correct. If the first team gets it spot on, they won't get any points. However, they can always choose to wager a point if they think the actual answer is much higher or much lower than their guess. And they'll only get points if the team's guess is higher or lower than 15 points. So you can always just go safe and say you think it's higher, or if you think that it's much higher or much lower, you can wager a point to say that it's more than 15%. So in this case, that you would be saying that it's at least more than 25 or 26. So Team B, do you think that it's higher or lower?
I really want it to be higher because it's so funny when this happens. And the only thing I can think of is like, do you think maybe when people are first playing a game before they're like kind of aware enough of the rules to like really know how the board state works, like, oh, this person already has a lot of horror on them or something, do you think that maybe a lot of people might do this in like the first couple times they play?
I mean, I
Seems
know.
likely.
I know I've been defeated by a teammate because they made a decision on an encounter card that resulted in my death.
Because depending on how you interpret it, there's encounter cards that affect everybody. There's you handle this one. There's encounter cards specifically like Fate of All Fools. There's a lot of like encounter cards someone else can draw that will kill somebody.
Pseudonym in chat says, "What about arrows from the trees or other effects that affect everybody?"
Exactly. I feel like if you play Forgotten Age like 6 times, this is probably going to happen once. Right?
I wasn't even thinking like arrows from trees. I was thinking this question was more like someone made a decision and that resulted in your death, type of thing.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? I would lean higher just because it seems more interesting, and I kind of feel like it might be a little bit higher than 10%. You know.
I was gonna say lower, but I think I agree with you that it's. No, I was gonna say lower, but then like I got convinced to see. I think it is probably a little higher.
Do you guys think it's a lot higher?
I wouldn't.
Probably not.
I wouldn't go a lot higher. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I feel like you guys have a lot more faith in people that took the survey and who they play with. I don't know. I feel like they're depending if you're playing with a new group, especially if it's a blind for them, they might not know all the. There's a lot of cards in Arkham. If everyone's unaware of every single thing that's going on, they make a decision.
Yeah, there's also they might not see that you have a weakness in your threat area that makes you take a horror whenever you take a damage or something. Yeah, but the thing is, it doesn't really matter in this case because it's an example. Like we don't have points to wager, so we could keep it kind of.
You gotta treat everything. It's always high, Dan. All right.
What? So is everybody on board with like higher, a little bit higher?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Let's do that.
So Team B thinks that it's higher, and you're not wagering any extra points, just saying that you think it's higher. Now for the reveal. Yeah, there we go. So the actual answer was 18.
Ooh.
So
interesting.
Tells us a lot about our survey takers. They play with people that have a high level of competency with the game. I think.
I think we're gonna learn a lot about the Arkham community through these questions. But so
it's 1 out of 5 people. 1 out of 5.
I mean that is ever happens. So the controlling.
Sometimes you just have to make a sacrifice play. Sometimes it's like you or the other guy, and who's more important? Who has the clues they're gonna drop in the victory location?
So the controlling team gets 4 points if they were within 5 points of the correct guess, 3 points if they were in 10, and 2 points if they were between 15 points. And the opposing team gets 1 point if their high or low guess is correct, and 2 points if they guessed much higher or much lower, and it has to be outside of the 15 points. So basically, if it's outside of this range and they wagered points, then they'll get 2 points, but they'll lose a point otherwise. Is that clear for our contestants?
We should both also have 1 point at the beginning, right? Or are we starting at 0 points?
Well, I'll start everybody with the point that you can wager, but let's say that it can go negative. Audience, feel free to weigh in on the comments, heckle foolish choices, or otherwise enjoy the show. At the end of the stream, we can select a couple names for some promos at the end of the game. All right. So if we're good, I think that we should be able to start. I'm gonna let Team Bear and Samedi go first, but but every round will be started will be in control by the team with the lower amount of points. So everybody starts with 1 point. Let's begin. I'm going to select Curtis. Curtis, tell me anything about. Tell me something about you and your Arkham experiences. Something fun that you have.
I have a beautiful combination of lots of ideas and very little follow through. So I'm currently midway through designing about 3 different Arkham campaigns. I can't promise any of them will ever finish, but the effort is there.
Can you tell us about one of them?
Sure. One of them I'm trying to lean into time travel, which Forgotten Age did a bit, but a little more heavily. In particular, trying to write 2 scenarios that take place at the same time, in the same place, but with 2 groups of people who were the same people in their time stream trying to avoid each other. It's trying to make it not a massive headache is difficult, but...
I'm looking forward to that one then. All right, you get to choose our first category and choice.
Sure. Oops just sounds like so much fun.
Oops 1, 2, or 3. Oops 3. All right. Out of a survey of over 100 Arkham players, what percentage have covered up a murder in the Excelsior Hotel?
Oops, indeed.
So
what's everybody's like initial kind of thoughts on this?
On my first play, I initially panicked and went, well, we've killed someone. Let's clean up the evidence. I suspect a lot of people will have done similarly.
Yeah, like my ballpark for this is like, I would be surprised if it was significantly less than 50%. Like I would believe it could be as high as like 70. I would be shocked if it was like below like 40.
I agree with that range.
100% said Riceville.
I feel a little bit higher, but Ryan and Harrison, these questions, if someone hadn't played the scenario, they just left it blank, and that doesn't count towards the percentage.
Mm-hmm. People can choose to leave campaigns or questions blank if they hadn't completed the scenario or it doesn't apply to them.
So we shouldn't factor in like, oh, maybe everyone hasn't played it yet or whatever.
Clarifying question. So suppose I play murder in a group of 4 people. One of us is the like accused alleged killer, right? And then the other 3 of us are not. If we all help cover it up, like we all have covered up a murder, right? Not just the one of us who's like doing it.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I
mean, these questions are up to interpretation.
Yeah, I guess it really depends how people who are reading the question interpreted it, right?
I suppose so.
I don't know, Tim and Curtis, what do you guys say?
I'm thinking in general, it's got to be pretty high, because I feel like, yeah, like people say, the first time you go in, you feel like, this is something I probably should do. So, I feel like it's pretty high.
Because it's that, or like throw yourself on the mercy of the cops when you look very guilty, right? Like people don't want to do that.
Right.
Yeah, I'd pitch it maybe at around 3/4.
Something around there sounds good to me. What do you guys think about like 70%? Tweak that a little bit, or how does that sound to everybody?
That sounds good to me.
I'll actually have the numbers in a little spreadsheet that'll figure out whatever it is. This is just kind of a visualization. So I think that's around 70. But Team Baron Samedi, does that sound about right? 70%? I think the audience thinks that it should definitely be 100.
I mean, we could crank it up if you guys want. I don't know. It's really hard to tell.
Seems okay to me.
Okay.
All right. So Team Baron Samedi guessed 70. Ashley Clark, what do you think?
I still think it's higher.
Higher than this?
I also think it's higher.
You're really, this is hard for me. I don't honestly know.
I've played this.
Also, there's like a lot of replayability in Excelsior, so like a lot of people played Excelsior many times. So they've covered up murder at least once.
I was going to say something similar where I haven't played Excelsior, but I think it's really popular and a lot of people really like it, and which means they probably have played it multiple times. So the chances on one of those playthroughs they've covered up a murder, I don't know, seems likely.
Like I've played this several times in groups of new players, and I've had to go through like 4 or 5 with new players before anyone decided not to cover up.
Oh man. So I guess that makes sense. I'm definitely in for higher. The question is how much higher?
So you could just say higher at all, but if you say much higher, it has to be above 80 or at or above 86 points.
I'd say play it safe at this point.
Sounds good to me.
Just higher for now.
I agree.
All right, let's do just higher.
Just higher. All right. Okay, time for the reveal. The answer is...
Oh my god!
Wow.
53%. So, so neither team gets points, huh? So I
people
actually,
in authority, I guess.
That's crazy.
Arrest them immediately in the 1920s.
I actually played this like 4 times and introduced people to the scenario just to keep trying to get somebody to want to do it. I guess people around here are really law-abiding.
I really wonder if
Seriously?
it's a thing where like people don't consider it covering it up unless you like commit to it 100%. Like if you eventually, I forget how it works, but like if you eventually tell the cops, or
You have to do all 3 of the things in the room.
yeah, like if you only do 2 of the 3 or something, maybe people don't consider it. I don't know.
You brought this up in the last episode, but this is a really role-play scenario. So when I first played, I was Tommy, and Tommy wouldn't do that. And he definitely didn't want to kill some fellow cops. So I wonder... so...
But for all those kids lovers,
so
kids would
All the groups I've played with have tried to cover it up, but I haven't completed all 3. So
nobody gets any points this round. So I'll pass the control over to Team Ashley Clark. So let's meet. Let's meet. Are you? Let me see. Let's meet Jeff. Hey Jeff, what can you tell us about yourself and your Arkham experience?
I will share a brief anecdote where I make fun of the Forgotten Age. I got my entire Arkham set used. I bought all my cards used, and it was very well taken care of, like custom tokens, little loving dividers, everything was sleeved, wonderful. And the final 4 packs of the Forgotten Age completely unopened. They just played Boundary Beyond, and as near as I can tell, sold their entire collection.
Dane's laughing.
Which is not quite baby shoes never worn, but it's pretty close.
Was it Dan? Did Dan do that? And
Well, no, it's especially funny because that means that so they did Boundary Beyond probably, but then like they were about to open Heart of the Elders and they withdrew their hand from it, like they touched a hot burner on the stove and gotten burned. Like, oh no, I'm not going to open this.
All right. So go ahead and select a category and an option.
Oh, now that was mean to it. I'll take Forgotten Age. We'll do 1.
Forgotten Age 1. How many players have defeated the Harbinger of Valicius? This is a little snake monster lady, I think, that just poofs away, and most people just like to avoid it.
I'm not sure little is quite the right word.
anywhere between 35 and like 50 health or something, right?
Something like that. And then considering you can get rid of it by just evading it enough, I feel like this is a fairly low number.
I agree. I've probably played 40 or 50 scenarios that have the Harbinger in them in terms of like replays and stuff, and I've probably never dealt that much damage ever.
I've killed it once because I was feeling really, really petty. Just really petty.
Oh man, well that's one of us, going by those statistics.
I would expect it's extremely low though.
How much-
Because
You're doing a hard vengeance run of
Yeah,
Forgotten
how
Age,
much-
where you're trying to maximize that vengeance. You gotta kill it.
How much vengeance does she have?
5.
It's like five, right?
sweet
Yeah,
vengeance.
it's high.
It's like an automatic. You lose an agenda in Depths of Yoth. It's like, nope, just knock that off the timer. You kill the Harbinger, you don't even get
Yeah.
this agenda.
All right, Team
I mean,
AC, what do you
Why
think?
would you want that agenda though? Like,
Ben, do you want to maybe stop providing information to our opponents here? Maybe. What do you think?
It's not necessarily good information.
I definitely don't want to drive the train, but I'll open a bid at 10%.
Somewhere around there.
That's what I said last time, and I was wrong. So
Anyone else in Team AC have anything to say about that?
I would honestly, I would almost go lower. What do you guys
5.
think? Because it's not even like you could be like, in a corner, I guess we have to kill her. It's like she literally has like 40 health or something. Chat's saying like 15% though.
I bet you there's people out there who are like, I bet you we can kill the Harbinger. We only get like 4 shots, so that means we got a double or nothing shotgun this. And they're like, blammo, 35 damage.
I was like,
It sounds
doesn't
reasonable.
deeper damage as well, so later in the campaign, like,
That is right. That is true.
All right,
Yeah,
All right, Team AC, what do you think? You wanna keep
that
it
seems fair. What if we crank it to like 12%?
just a little?
Yeah.
Seem
All right.
I can live with 12.
12? Okay.
let's do that.
All right, Baron Samedi, what do you think? You can't go much lower, but you can go lower.
So let's use our secret weapon of math. So let's see. So the Harbinger has 10 per player health, right? And it keeps the health when it poofs away, and it comes. There's 4 scenarios that have it, right?
Yep.
Is that correct?
Sounds right.
And each
Sounds
time you need to put 2 per player resources on it. So suppose you never evaded it and you only ever hit it, and you hit it for 1 damage each time. Then you would hit it for 8 damage in each of 4 scenarios, and you'd put 32 damage on it. So it wouldn't be dead. But usually you're probably going to hit it for like 2 damage. But you're also probably going to evade it sometimes. Like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you make it through the Forgotten Age and get good endings of the scenarios, and you evade it like less than half of the times that you put a resource on it, then you get pretty close to killing it, close enough that maybe in the last scenario you'd be like, oh, what if we kill it? You know? I don't know. I did all that out, and now I have no idea which one we should pick. So
Doesn't it also pop up in the super secret ending?
Super secret ending.
Yeah, but that's that's probably going to be a question later, maybe. But like, I think very few people played that probably.
Not to mention that at that point you've crossed off the Harbinger is alive brackets. It comes back on full health.
No, yes.
I think it's difficult to kill the Harbinger by accident, and I suspect few people would go, you know what I really want? 5 vengeance points.
That's the thing is if there wasn't 5 vengeance on it, it would be a cool like, oh, let's do it just for the heck of it thing. But the 5 vengeance is like, even if you have the opportunity in that 4th scenario that it shows up, you might not want to. So I don't know.
Team Baron
I think it's like a replay thing. If you replay the campaign,
I feel like when we first played it, we just killed it because it was so annoying after like 3 scenarios. Because the Vengeance like, Vengeance isn't that bad, and that was before we got to Depths of Yoth, and we were like,
It also depends how many people are in your team. Like 40 health is not different. Even for solo, it's only 10, right?
Gun to my head right now, I would pick under, but I don't know. It's really hard. What do you guys think?
I think lower, definitely.
So lower than 10.
I think it's higher, but
or 12, lower than 12. It's still not much
12.
space.
See, yeah, I don't know. What?
Do you want to agree? Lower?
Dan, I think has the final call. I think.
Yeah, but if Ben's right, he's gonna be really smug about it. That's all right. I've been talked into it. Let's pick over, just so that we don't have smug Ben to deal with if we lose.
It's no good.
All right. Does that sound like a final answer?
Is that okay with you guys?
That's fine with me.
Go for it.
All right. So we're gonna have a good rest of the game because we're not gonna have to deal with smug Ben.
Wow!
38. It's 38%.
38%.
Smug Ben is worth like 6 vengeance, so I'm really glad we didn't have to. Victor just.
So,
why would you do that?
This
you
is
can
shocking
ask
to me.
38% of our polling population why they would do that. But
if I could ask a brief question of your audience.
I think on the blind playthrough, Vengeance isn't as scary. You don't know the repercussions until like the last scenario, and that Snake Lady is very annoying.
Well, so here is I apologize because I already forgot who said this, but it was a really good point. But somebody pointed out that like your brain wants to think like what percentage of runs through this campaign this happened, but that's not how it works. You should really be thinking of like assume that each player has played it between like 1 and like 8 times, some distribution. Like who's hit it at least once? You know, like that. It's going to be higher than it looks for a lot of this stuff.
At least once.
That's insight.
Pseudonym in the chat. It's got to be one Leo Anderson player who voted 38 times.
Leo does really well in that scenario. I love playing with Leo Anderson because of that. Anyways, all right, so that gives Team Baron Samedi a point, and Ashley Clark is behind. So Mike, you told me a story earlier about your time in Eternal Slumber. Can you tell me about that?
I definitely can tell you. So I was playing as Silas and with his various shenanigans of committing and pulling skill cards back and forth, I was fighting Nath, and she had already had a lot of damage on her. And in the Mythos phase, I drew a card that had me make a agility test, one of his strong suits. So I committed a quick thinking. Succeeded by 2 or more. So I made an attack against Nate as my free action. Hit her with the meat cleaver. Passed on horror to Pete because that's what you do. Damaged her. But the token I drew was the Elder Sign. So I pulled a quick thinking back out, committed it, succeeded by 2 or more, did another action, returned it to my hand, attacked her again, committed the quick thinking again, and then did a third action, and ended up killing her that turn in the Mythos phase by taking almost a full turn.
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
It's those kind of moments that we play Arkham Horror for, so that I'm glad. And I bet you can't wait to play with Silas through the Innsmouth Conspiracy.
I'm very much looking forward to it.
Nice. Go ahead and select a category. Reistwilt says epic.
Let's go with Farcom Flexes for 2.
Farcom Flexes for 2. How many players have played as Lola Hayes through an entire campaign? A full 8+ scenario campaign. So note that I didn't say win a campaign. So
I'm just going to straight up say for this one, I played through Carcosa, and I think a lot of people probably do for the narrative fact. So I think it's probably higher than we'd imagine.
Do you want to make a guess?
I'd say probably like 45.
Team Ashley Clark.
Wow, I was thinking much higher. I thought it would be like 65 or something.
Oh, we have some contention.
But I don't know, honestly. Like I myself haven't played Lola like more than once. So.
But you have played her once.
Okay, that's a very good point actually. How many of us in here have played Lola through a full 8+ scenario campaign?
Crickets.
Well, all right then. Maybe
is Matastrophic in the chat? No.
Maybe the Lola player. Let's go more towards your end then. Maybe more like 40s, mid 40s sound reasonable, or
35?
45?
45? Sorry. So like pretty close to 50. Anybody else? All right. Do you want to lock that in?
Sounds about right, yeah.
Silent Monotone says they've seen one person do it once. All right, so you're guessing 45? Team Baron Samedi, what do you have to say about this?
So maybe a good way to approach this is to try to think about if you classify players into different groups based on how they like to play and what they're interested in, what we think the distribution of those groups is. So I think that power gamer type people are probably going to stay very far away from Lola unless they're playing that weird combo with Will to Survive. Newer players are maybe going to be confused by it, but there's a certain type of like jank and lore focused player who really loves Lola and has definitely played as Lola. So like how many of those type of player do you think are out there?
I feel like that's a larger percentage of the players.
I'm one.
Yeah, I kind of, that's the thing. I feel like there's a huge part of the community, especially people that are like interested in Farcom Con, who might have taken this survey. I think Lola might be like overrepresented among kind of like real hardcore fans who really love the game, maybe.
And people that play the game a lot probably have just tried Lola. In general.
Yeah, I mean,
she's really weird. Maybe she's not good, but I should give her a try.
I mean, I never will, but like, yeah, I think most people will eventually play Lola, right? I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one. These are all really tough, actually, if you think about it.
At some point, you look at the character who is clearly terrible, and you go, "Yeah, I can do that. That's a fun challenge."
You get bored with playing good characters. You're eventually like, you know what? Fine, sure. Right?
A lot of people are just scared away from her by the sort of general reaction from the community too.
Yeah.
Give me a stubborn detective and I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would lean towards going over on this, but I could easily be talked into doing it under instead. What do you guys think?
I would lean towards over.
Yeah, I'd say higher as well.
All right, sounds pretty straightforward. Did you want to?
But just slightly.
If you think that if you think that it could be 61 or over, you could wager a point.
I just don't like the wager a point to win 1 point thing. Like I would want to. I feel like the odd. It's not enough of a payback. You know. What do you guys think?
I say YOLO, Dan. You can do it.
In this question, I don't know if it's super significantly higher. I think sometimes it might be worth it though.
Yeah, that could be fine.
If they did something, if the other team is absolutely wrong. All right, sounds like we have a pretty unanimous choice. So you're going to say higher. And Team Ashley Clark said 45. The answer is...
Wow.
Wow.
Oof.
Crazy.
Wow.
So...
I underestimated the community. I thought a lot more people would have tried Lola.
Yeah, I will say this: people that play Lola are very vocal about it on social media. So
maybe you're only hearing like 2 people.
We overlooked here. They had to survive the full 8 scenarios, right?
That's such a good point.
There you go.
8+ scenarios,
Yeah.
Or 4.
If you tried playing with Carcosa, you probably checked out in Unspeakable Oath or checked in.
It's like you draw the encounter card that's going to wreck you, and you have a deny existence in hand, but you're not in purple mode. No, yeah.
So or 4 through or 4 scenario campaigns through Dreamlands. So she could probably do a little bit better there. I maintain that just give it a few more years, and it'll be Lola's time to shine.
Silent monotone in chat says it's Lola than you thought. But
Okay.
I'm really liking how the chat's going. All right, so
that's not another thing we have.
The scores are moving a little slower than I thought they would, but Team Ashley Clark, Team Ashley Clark, you're still behind. So let's see who we're gonna talk with. Graham, tell us something about you and your Arkham experience.
Well, as longtime listeners of Miskatonic University Radio may know, I was once on this podcast and said, hey, I'm also going to do an Arkham podcast. And it was the flashiest and the pantiest that you could ever be for some kind of production. My 2 friends that were involved with it, the 3 of us were kind of putting our heads together on it. And then we published our first couple episodes, and we had recorded a couple more. And then... I was sort of, I had to drastically change my living situation. My one friend changed jobs. 2 of us moved, and someone else also started I think they had a medication change or something, and a shift change, and there's a bunch going on. So as soon as we started, a week after we published our first couple episodes, then all of our worlds fell apart, and we felt really dumb about it. So so we put the podcast on hiatus, and it may or may not ever come back again. But
it was a pretty good podcast, though, I gotta say, and a great name.
Thank you very much. The Pallid Cast Detective Agency.
Yeah.
My favorite part about it is that we would introduce ourselves, and then we would say, and we are the men in the Pallid Cast. So layers of references there.
All right. Sorry, I was interested. I was just making sure that the stream looks good. Does everybody on the stream fine?
The stream seemed like it went down for a second there, maybe.
I think I started talking about it and then it went down.
It looks a little bit choppy. The frame rate's kind of low.
It's back for me.
Yeah, it looks like it's getting a little better. I just have that little spinny. Anybody in the chat? Are you still there? Can you?
I refreshed it. It looks like it's fine. So.
Okay. Cool. So I guess nobody will ever hear about your podcast unless you do more episodes. But
I guess not.
Go ahead and select us a question.
Okay. Well, I am a huge fan of the Forgotten Age. I've been long flexing Forgotten Age. I liked the Forgotten Age before it was cool to like. So we're going to do Forgotten Age 3.
I like Forgotten Age.
It's still pretty uncool, I would say.
No, you're dumb.
All right, out of our survey, how many Arkham players have had their minds wiped by Yithians?
Interesting. So is this...
This is a tough one.
Which resolution does this actually mean for City of Archives? Is this like you're in the body of a Yithian and you get to continue, or is this like you just lose the campaign?
I think that this implies the kind of total party wipe ending spoiler, I guess. But I wonder what other players, what pollers thought.
I need help from somebody who knows the City of Archives a lot better than I do, because I think I've played it 3 times, and I think we just made it through fine each time.
I mean, I can tell you, but isn't it the other team's guess?
I was going to say, Dan, we do appreciate the help.
Oh,
but...
oops. Gross. Why did I think Graham was on my team? I got confused because I liked his podcast so much. Sorry.
Yeah, he is on your team. We're all on your team. Dan.
Now you're trying to trick me, Dane. That's not cool.
Well, this has never happened to me, although... like I've played this at my game store, and we'll have like 2 or 3 tables of people that are all doing it, and undoubtedly someone gets wiped.
Yeah.
And I know that at Arkham Knights, didn't people talk about how a couple tables doing the all-day marathon Iron Man thing, some tables get wiped,
Oh
right?
man, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's every time we've guessed, we've gone purely off of like our groupthink and logic, and then it's completely wrong. So initially I was tempted for it to be like low, but I think it might actually be like relatively high. I was thinking like at first maybe like 30-ish%, but I'm thinking maybe now it's more like 55 to 65, just because like I know that there are a lot of people also like City of Archives is kind of polarizing in a lot of ways, right? Like I know a lot of people that really like City of Archives and stick up for it, but I know that there are a lot of people who are like, this doesn't belong in this scenario, and like I can't believe I got my mind wiped by a bunch of space worms, and like I mean maybe they're just, the loudest people in the room, but I don't know.
So
I'm still in the 30 camp. What do you guys think?
I'm still in the 30 camp also. I mean, there are lots of ways to get killed in City of Archives, so it might not just be mind wipes that ruined
That is
everybody's
true.
day.
So
yeah,
Rice,
that's a fair point.
So Rice will just checked the investigator log or the campaign log, and they're confirming that mind wiped is the total party wipe. So, are you gonna say around 30? Seems to be around 30 for me. Team Ashley Clark.
So maybe like 30, 31?
31. Just like a notch.
Just to be cheeky.
Oof, big change. Sure, let's go with it.
Sounds good.
All right, Team Baron Samedi, Team BS. What do you think?
I was someone in chat had spoiled it already, but I think it only happens if you lose the scenario, and you only lose the scenario if you fail at like doing too many of the things, right? Like you can choose to resign once you've completed some number of the things, right?
It's non-trivial. You've got to get to 10 cards in hand for everyone at the same time, which, if you're kind of drowning in stuff, can be a problem. You've only got to lose once to count for this, no matter how many times you played.
True.
But I still want to know. Yeah, the way this works is like if you get to the end and everybody has 10 cards in hand, then you win and everybody gets their own bodies back and everything is good, right? But it's like if things get so bad that you have to resign when that condition is not met, then that's what we're talking about.
No, you have to complete, I guess, 3 other things, and then you can have 10 cards in hand, right? Everybody has 10 cards in hand, and then you can resign. If you fail to resign, right, then you get your mind wiped. That's like the bad resolution.
Okay. Huh.
And then the number of things you do like determines like your odds of getting back in your own body or not. But your mind will still be intact. Fernage is pretty brutal. And this is what the 6th or 7th scenario. Trauma by then.
Here's the thing. What percentage of blind playthroughs do we think this happens in?
I think it's significant. I hear people talk about it, so
I feel like it might be at least 30% of blind playthroughs, and everybody has a blind playthrough. So I would be inclined to go over, maybe. What do you guys think about that?
I'd be very surprised if it's not over. I'd go over, definitely.
Do you think it's significantly over?
I'm loath to risk a point on it, but
That's kind of how I feel too. Yeah.
Same.
Let's just go over then, if you guys all agree with that. Are we ready to lock that in? Going once, going twice. Sold.
All right. So you think that it's over?
We do.
So let's reveal. So I really think that Team Ashley Clark should have kept their original guess because it's 30.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yes.
You do get. It moved a little bit. You do get 4 points for that, though.
Hachi machi.
That's going to be hard to catch up with.
Well, fortunately,
We got there.
Fortunately, Team Barrett Sabeti, you get control. Who have it we bet? So Tim, I know that you're a bit of a tinkerer in the Arkham world. Is there any projects that you're working on now, or stuff that maybe people have seen in some podcasts or videos that you've worked on?
Well, I worked on the Arkham Draft tool that Grounded the Flame used earlier today.
Cool.
And that kind of grew from the fact that I just enjoy. Well, I like the Ultimatum of Chaos, and I like flailing against the randomness. But at some point, I drew like 3 terrible decks in a row and decided, okay, let's try to add a little bit of draft in there so you can Ultimatum of Chaos a little bit and draft a little bit, and then maybe feel a little better about your deck. So that's where it came from, and I'm glad that people are enjoying it.
Yeah, we've used it a few times in our episodes, in our streams. We've used it in our video with Pat Wayne, and I'm running a deck that I built off of that with Dane in our Dreamland scenario that is going to continue next week. And
Next Thursday.
We'll be finishing up in the next couple weeks with that. So, all right, Tim, go ahead and choose us a question.
Well, I enjoy Dunwich Legacy more than I think most people. Let's go with Dunwich Legacy 2.
Dunwich Legacy 2. All right.
Ooh,
this is a sad one.
Oh no!
How many players have suffered through Duke being kidnapped and sacrificed? This one's pretty clear-cut about how that happens.
I don't know. I feel like after the blind playthrough, you're aware this is a possibility. So if you weren't playing Ashcad your blind playthrough, then you might be pretty paranoid about it. Prevent it from happening.
This is another one where I think it could depend heavily on whether people would consider themselves to have suffered through this if they personally were playing Ashcan when it happened, or if someone in their group was. Because that's like potentially like a times 2 to 4 multiplier, right?
Isn't it an achievement in Return to?
It is an achievement in Return to. So the game is encouraging people to bring.
It's also so when Dunwich first came out, like there were only 10 investigators in the game, one of which was Ashcan Pete. So like the density of people playing Ashcan Pete would have been higher, right? And some people, like when we tend to, like when we first do the blind playthrough of a new campaign, we tend to pick the investigators from that campaign. So it might have been even higher if other people do that.
Oh, poor pseudonym. Someone in chat has had that happen to them yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
The wounds are still there.
So let's narrow this down. I don't think it's 50%, right? It's got to be lower than that.
Yep.
What about 25%? Does that seem too low, too high, or roughly good?
I feel like it could be even. I don't know. There's that achievement. But even I haven't.
No one except you cares about achievements, and even you don't care about return.
I didn't even get tempted by that. Some people like achievements, and achievements are fun, Dan. Some people like to have fun. I know you hate it, but it's fine.
I like fun. Fun's great. I don't know. What do the rest of you guys think? Like, so 50 seems too high. I would say like 5% is maybe too low. I'm just trying to narrow it down a little bit, right?
I think I'd look at maybe the 15 to 20 range. It could happen, but it's quite an unfortunate combination of circumstances to get to that point.
That sounds okay to me. Although Harrison was just shaking his head when you said that. He's the only one that knows the answer.
He's just trying to harass us.
He's trying to throw us off. He's trying to. It's all mind games over there. Yeah.
I was going to go with 18, so anywhere in there is fine with me.
So we have
That sounds
a little
okay to
higher,
me.
a
Is
little
that-
lower.
18 sounds good to me.
I feel like it might be lower than that, but I'm not sure how much lower. So that's fine.
We're locking
We can
18.
go with 17.
We'll go with 17.
Okay. Let's go with 17 just to be fun.
All right.
See ya.
Team Ashley Clark. What percentage of players have suffered through Duke being kidnapped and sacrificed?
I like being second because then we get all the intel.
Yeah, this is nice. Nice change of pace here.
Nice.
I really like this so far.
So Reaperman in chat says he needs to do this for the achievement. I think there might be more achievement hunters than initially thought by Team Baron Samedi. Maybe it's hard. I mean, this is a thing, right? Like people have heard about this and have had this happen to them. I've seen like people post pictures of this happening like on Instagram and things. Like statistically speaking, maybe like a little higher, but I'm not sure.
I also want to point out that Dunwich was the only full campaign that anyone had for like almost 2 years from when the game came out. So I think a lot of people have played Dunwich, and a lot of people have played Ashcan Pete, and I think this could be pretty high, honestly. I mean, I haven't done it, but I don't know.
That's actually a very good point too. I know that also Mythosbusters did like a favorite investigator thing, and Ashcan was among like was he beat by Ursula? I don't remember. I remember he got to like semifinals.
Wow.
But so there are a lot of people who love Ashcan out there, and I myself enjoy myself some Duke and Human Companion Ashcan. But I think I would definitely agree. I think it might be a little higher.
Higher?
Like in terms of statistics here.
I'd say higher, but not by much. But I think achievement hunting definitely pushes it a little higher.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking too.
So you're going to say higher than 17?
I'll say a little higher.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Team Ashley Clark says higher. The answer is 11.
Damn.
So
Wow.
I bet you people bring Ashcan Pete, but then they get like agency backup murdered and sacrificed, which was equally
People
hilarious.
love that dog.
So that
I was
means
prepared to launch into a lecture about achievement hunting, but
Even if you wanted to get it, it would be you'd have to work for it, you know.
all right. So that gets Team Baron Samedi 2 points to tie it up at 4. And who selected this round? I'll give the other team.
Baron just selected.
All right, so let's give Team Ashley Clark the control. I think we met everybody. So let's go ahead and let Dane select a category.
Ooh, okay. This is exciting. Let's see.
Did we meet Jeff? Jeff, you can select next.
We met.
Hi, Jeff.
yeah, I think we had everybody.
Not doing one of the three that hasn't been selected makes me very uncomfortable. So, Circle and Done and Path to Gargosa are what I'm interested in. Let's go.
It's a chance. It'll be a question about the gathering.
with. Ooh, that's a very good point, Ben. Let's go with Path to Carcosa for 2.
Path to
gonna say-
Carcosa for 2.
Yeah, Dane, you're such a huge fan of Carcosa. You got to do that.
It's true.
All right. How many players have ever physically cringed when they or somebody else mentioned this guy? I won't say
Oh,
it.
why do you have that in your house?
I actively do.
Did you bring that into your house, or did Dane?
Have you seen Harrison's shirt?
I not look closely at Harrison's shirt. Should I? That seems dangerous. I'm not going to.
You really shouldn't look at my shirt, but I designed a yellow sign shirt. And we're on Twitch, so this might get taken down if somebody owns this. But I think this is. But how many players have ever physically cringed if they or somebody else has said his name?
Well, first I gotta say that I looked at Harrison's shirt, and now all of a sudden I have an interest in theater and running shows. I know now's a bad time for it, but maybe we can get a lot of people together and just put on a play.
Yeah, sounds interesting.
That's gonna be a no from me, dog.
Anyway, I'm guessing it's 100. 100% no one likes this person. Everyone's played. Everyone who knows why this is a joke. 100 done. I'm over it.
I think so too. I think this is an extremely high number. If it could be higher than 100%, it would be.
I think that if anyone hadn't, they would probably just lie and say they did because it's funny. So I'm inclined with 100 as well.
Are we actually just going straight up 100, or are we going to get maybe a little lower?
Do you want to go a little bit where there's like a better range of us being higher or like in that like sweet spot?
That's the thing, because like if they literally just say lower, they will win. Like if it's not 100, right? Or they'll get points if it's not 100, and we might not.
So,
or in five.
Too much about the numbers, Dane. Go with your heart.
Shut up, Ben.
what about 90, 95? You go 90 and get like a pretty big chunk of the board?
I'd probably still drop to 90.
Team Ashley Clark?
I'd go 90.
You're
Because
going
like
90.
what, 15 points above or below?
Did you have
90 seems fair.
90? Let's lock that in.
Yeah, let's do 90.
Let's lock that in. 90. All right. Team BS, what do you think? Higher? Lower? Much higher? Much lower?
Wait a second. How do we get Team BS? How did that happen?
I was really hoping they were going to pick 100 and just make our job very easy. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I sort of was thinking 100 could be right. But
So, in the taxonomy of nerds, there's like a type of nerd who would like be proud of like not cringing because of being like uber rational, and like there's like a type of nerd who'd be like, of course I wouldn't do that. That's illogical. I wouldn't, like, right? Those people exist. I'm looking for any reason to like go under, you know? What do you guys think?
and where are you in that category, Dan? Are you super logical?
No, I refrain from saying it under any circumstances, just in case. You know, I want to be ready when we do Carcosa again. Like, I don't want to get in the habit of thinking it's okay to say the name.
I wish we had more video so that we can actually see how many people physically cringe, but someone would have to say it.
I just kind of think that as like a baseline strategy, if they pick 90, it's so tempting to go under, because like the person who picks first has been off by a lot on a lot of these questions, and if we pick under, then we get like the whole range of like everything from 0 to 89, right?
Wow, like, Reaver, that's a dangerous life you lead with those pet names of ancient ones.
Oh my god.
Reaver has a dog named Haster. Whoa.
That's if you can even pronounce MUR Lafotep correctly most of the time, you're way ahead of most of us. And
Thanks
certainly
for giving all the viewers one horror day.
Yeah.
Jeremy, when he said yesterday, didn't pronounce the N. Is the N silent? Is it Yarlathotep or something?
I guess the general principle that I'm getting at here is I feel like the higher the first person guesses, like the closer the first person is to one of the extremes, the more certain we should have to be to go even higher than that, right? Like just baseline unless we have like really, really solid theory that we know exactly what the right answer to this question is. If they pick 90, we should like really be erring on the side of going under.
All right, Team Bear, what do you think?
I think the other thing is that enough people have trained themselves to not say Haster that they will just never say it and never cringe because they don't hear it. Not I laugh in the face of Eldritch Horrors, but then I'm mad, so that's what you get, I suppose.
Yeah. Let's sound off because we gotta move on. Everybody, what do you think? Over, under?
Under.
Ben?
Under.
Yeah, I'm good with under.
Okay, let's do under and lock it down.
Do you want to say that it's much lower than that? That would be, you would have to guess, it would have to be 84 or less.
I don't really want to wager it. What do you guys think?
74 or less.
I don't either.
But-
And it's 74, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea. I think you guys should definitely wager.
Oh, it's, I mean, I'll explain after
What do
this.
they do?
Okay, so just
Under.
regular lower.
No wager under. So it sounds like
All right. How many players have physically cringed when they bring up his name? I was surprised by this. It's 64.
Wow.
Wow.
So I think that I
Okay.
think you have more of those
I think
rational
those people
thinkers.
are reading story texts to really understand how scary this is. Or they just all madness and they're like, and they laugh at it. But
All right, Team
Oh,
Baron.
that's true.
Team Baron, you do get 1 point for that. So I just wanted to clear something up. So it's 15, like as a range. So it would really be like within 7.5 points. So I guess I misworded that.
okay,
Does that make sense? So just
Yeah, got it.
All right. Sorry about that.
we just had outside of the range.
You would have definitely been outside of the range. It was like that. Pseudonym says 36% of people polled are no longer welcome to game with them. Let's continue. Team Ashley Clark, you still have the control. All right. Let's let Jeff select.
Let's give Circle Undone some love. 1.
Circle Undone 1. All right. How many players have gotten themselves hunted by the Spectral Watcher? So in the poll, we actually clearly said that this is different from being hunted as an effect. Have gotten themselves hunted by the Spectral Watcher.
This is like
Not
campaign
the-
log level, yeah.
Right, yeah. Not the mechanic.
Well, so this one took me a while to even learn about or discover, because I don't want to spoil anything, but you kind of have to do something a little bit atypical, off book, maybe,
Yeah.
to trigger this kind of thing. So, which I like that it's hidden like this, and it's really scary when you find it. I think this is again going to be pretty low. What do you guys think?
I think it'd be low
Interesting.
because if it's anything like me, you played through Circle Undone and you saw if you are being hunted in the book and had absolutely no idea how to end up that way.
Exactly.
And then you dug through later and found out when you weren't playing or some such. So I think that keeps the number lower.
Well, are we thinking double digits? Are we thinking single digits? Are we comfortable with going into single digits? I guess is more the question, statistically speaking.
Every time we've come up with something like this and have swung really far to either side, it's always been a lot closer to the middle than we'd initially.
Yeah.
So are we thinking in the 35 range or higher than that, maybe?
I'd be comfortable in that range.
You good? We lock in 35?
Yeah,
Yeah, go
let's
for it.
do 35, yeah.
All right. Team Baron Samedi, what do you think?
Curtis,
This is very
where are you at on this one?
I would swing lower than that, I think. As you say, it's quite a niche thing to do, and it's very easy to find out just outside of a campaign and then never do it.
Yeah, Tim, what about you?
I think I'd say lower as well. It did happen in one of my games, but I don't even remember how. So, yeah, I think it is kind of a hidden thing. So I would say
that's kind of what I was thinking. For me, I feel like maybe what happens to a lot of people is the first time through that doesn't happen because it's unusual for it to happen, and then you hear about it from someone else, someone else tells you, oh, that's a cool thing that they did that. But now that you know how it happens, you're not gonna why would you intentionally trigger it, right?
What if you want to be able to read the story text associated with it?
But you can
Can't do
just
that.
read that in the campaign guide.
You can do that if you're being hunted.
I feel like for most people, they might just read that in the campaign guide and not actually have to do it in the campaign.
That'd be crazy. You can't do that.
I don't like reading stuff if I didn't actually do it.
So the guess is
But
35.
I still think it's low.
Text, I don't have to, Dan.
I guess Ben, are you on board with going under? Because it sounds like the other three of us are.
Under sounds good.
Okay, let's go under then.
So I don't know what everybody knows that I don't, but I have no idea how to get yourself hunted by this Spectral Watcher, but 64% do.
What?
Oh, are you kidding me?
Okay. I think people misinterpreted this question, and I think they mean I think people thought it meant like killed by the Spectral Watcher or something. Or like the Spectral Watcher moved towards you in the enemy phase or something. I bet that maybe, because it's impossible that this happened to that many people.
I have no idea what it is.
Maybe
But we
people are-
specified that it wasn't by the hunting mechanic in the poll.
Well,
There is a taken by the Watcher in the Prelude.
Yeah.
Oh,
maybe.
sure.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like it could have been something like that. People
Yeah,
thought.
I mean, you get it by like looking at something you're not supposed to, and people sometimes like at the end of the game will look at stuff and be like, "Oh,
Wow.
let's do that,"
Interesting.
and
So it's
add
still
it in.
neck and neck.
Teammate,
Pseudonym. I never advocate for anything. I'm not an advocate. I'm merely comment.
so we'll put a pin in that one because I think that we don't trust our pollers for that. But let's continue. Ashley Clark, you still have control, and I'm gonna let you all come to whichever category you want from consensus for the rest of the game.
You guys want a softball from the gathering, maybe?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Cool.
Is that core 1 or core 2? We want to go core 3? Get the big boys?
Let's do core 3.
Core 3, please.
All right, how many players have burned down their home?
110%.
100.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably say like 60 to 70. It's never my go-to, but I've played through the beginner campaign enough times where I've done it to see the scenario resolution and how it plays differently.
Yeah, I guess like blind playthrough my first time in the core set, I was thinking like more in character, and I was thinking like me as a person, if I knew that there were like ghouls under my house and I was like, you know what, I'm not that attached to this house, I'm gonna burn it down. I would say it's a high percentage, but maybe not like in the 80s or 90s. I would think like maybe 75%, like 73 maybe, if I wanted to be like, just make it a strange number that nobody enjoys.
I'm upset this was actually a gathering question. I assumed you didn't have it.
Yeah, I would assume it is like high in the 70s or so also because, pre-Dunwich and such, this was, there's only one campaign to play, so it got replayed presumably a lot. And sure, burn your house down sometimes. Just see what happens.
You bust the box, you try playing it once, you lose, you play again, you get a little closer, but you lose. Third time, you make it out, but you have to resign, and then you find out in the Midnight Masks, oh my gosh, that stupid ghoul priest comes back. So then every time after that, you burn down the house. Every time.
Yeah.
Until you actually win.
Yeah. And like, so maybe it's in the higher 70s, low 80s then, do we think?
I'm going to throw out 78. That's just a number, though.
Does that sound like you gonna lock that in? 78?
I like it
comfortable with
more
that.
than 73.
Yeah, I'm good with.
All right, Team Baron Samedi, what do you think? Higher, lower, much higher, much lower?
It's
I'm trying
100%.
I'm trying to remember if I've ever not done this.
And this is only you only have to ever do this once.
Yeah, Tim, what do you think?
I think a lot of people replay, the core campaign, and I think at some point you got to burn it down. I think it's pretty high. I think it's higher than that.
And this is one where if you did it first and you didn't burn the house down and you kind of like see what happens, I think you'd be even more likely than normal to go back and do it the other way next time. I mean, like I said earlier, the further away from the center they pick, the more incentive we have to pick closer to the center. But in this case, I really want to go over.
I'd be surprised if this was under like 90. I'd say
Yeah.
go higher.
Yeah, I think
Do you want to go much higher? Do you think it's 100?
I still feel like we should just never wager because it's just
It's not fun.
there's so many unknowns. Like it's a big commitment, right? I mean,
Very clearly not a rogue player.
Well,
Yeah,
if you
the
get it
first
wrong,
also true.
Team Baron
I
Samedi, if you
assume
get it
a
wrong,
large
then you can control.
The community knows the wisdom of if given the option to burn when it comes to the Cthulhu mythos, right? What did they guess? 84? What was their?
They guessed 78. Is that right?
So
Yeah.
if it's above 85 and if we wager, then we're wagering it's above 85, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. Curtis and Tim, what do you guys think? Double or nothing?
It's fine with me if you guys want
If it's
to.
what 80, what is the target? 85. If it's 85,
Is the double
I'm
points?
okay with it. If people want to do that, I don't know.
Guys, we could do
Yeah,
it. See what happens.
Gamble, why not?
Yeah.
Got to do it sometime, right?
All right,
Let's
so
do
we're gonna bet over, and we're gonna wager a point that it's significantly over.
All right. So we're locking it in. How many players have burned down their home? Unsurprisingly to me, 95%.
Oh my gosh.
It is much higher, yeah.
Team Baron
That's probably
Samedi,
5%.
you get 2
5%.
points. And Team Ashley Clark, you are behind with 4. You don't get any points here. So you still get control.
I feel like we're a bit crap at this point.
We got
Just
4
have to,
points
like-
last time we got
You could
something.
catch
Yeah,
up
a
if
good-
with a good answer.
You get like 10 points or something. It's I don't forget what Harrison said, but
You can get 4 points.
Do we want to clear out the Forgotten Age?
I thought of that too. I was thinking Forgotten Age or Oops.
Let's do Forgotten Age.
Forgotten Age for 2.
All right. So we're gonna try to keep this as spoiler-free as possible. But how many players got to do the thing in the Forgotten Age campaign? And I assume that there's some sort of overhead for people just completely misinterpreting this.
Is this just surviving the second scenario?
I think I think this is doing the thing after the 8th.
I think so as well.
I assume this
Yeah.
means taking chalk and having to eat it because you run out of food.
Yeah.
Is this where you throw the box against the wall and bring a blanket? Okay. This is, I mean, we talked about it earlier. This is low, right?
It's got to be really low.
It's
I
not
would say
easy
like
to
6
do.
I would say like 6 to 8%, unless like. But here's the thing. So people like, I feel like if somebody were to like dig around and say like, oh, you can get this resolution, they would immediately go back and play it to get that resolution, right? So there's like a course correction, maybe. I don't know. So far, I've been pretty much wrong on everything I've said so far. So
Yeah, me too.
maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not the one to submit the final vote.
All right. Do you want to make a guess?
I
Well,
mean, if
go
I were
like-
on my own, I would say like 8.
It's like that.
I would say something. Yeah, maybe 10. That gives them a lot of room to play with, though.
I know.
Also, the people who like the Forgotten Age really like the Forgotten Age.
It's true.
Although-
Yeah, I personally like it a lot.
Freaks.
All right. Do you want to lock in? What did you say? 10?
Be like 12,
12?
11.
11? Let's lock something in.
Last
11.
time, last time we adjusted it at the last minute, I made us not get a point. So let's not do that. Let's go with your wisdom and not mine.
Is that 10?
10? All right.
Yeah.
We'll say 10.
We're locking in 10. Team Baron Samedi, what do you got?
I have no idea. This one, it just feels like there's so much uncertainty because of like, do people even know what the question's referring to? And then it's like, how hard is it to actually do this? I'm trying to remember, assuming it's what we think it is.
you have
It's
to
just a choice, right?
choice at the end of Threads of Fate, but then you get particularly nasty, spooky tokens added throughout the game.
Oh yeah, you get the squids instead of the other ones, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like if you, and it is kind of. I'm trying to remember if there's a prerequisite. Oh, there's more cats coming into this room.
Well, you've got to keep the
Forgotten
relic.
Age, right? Come on, stay focused.
I got distracted. So I try to remember what the prerequisite is, other than just deciding not to like the people and then having to actually survive the campaign.
You have
If
to
you had to,
survive
like,
the campaign and keep the relic, but that's it, I think.
I feel like my thought that it is likely lower than 10 is perfectly balanced by the general principle that if they pick 10, we should go higher. So it's like it's really hard to pick either one.
See, I was tempted to go much higher.
Really?
I think it is that thing of you play through and you notice that there's this weird option, and then you see ways of doing it, and the next time you try and find a way of doing it. But I may be wrong, but I'd certainly go higher.
Yeah,
I think compared to other campaigns, I think there might be fewer people playing the Forgotten Age a second time compared to.
I think that's you.
I mean, no. Some people really like it, but it is divisive. Some people really don't like it, right?
But I think the people that really like it are really going to want to do that thing.
I've
only tried it solo, and I have failed every time that I've tried solo. So I've never done it myself, but I do think it's a goal for people that like the campaign.
I would be fine going over if that's what you guys want, just because, again, in general, if they pick 10, like it's so tempting to just go over, right?
I would say go over. I mean, even you, Dan, who dislikes the Forgotten Age, have done this with me. Like, you played through it to do this.
True.
So
yeah, no, yeah.
Pseudonym brings up a good point. Do we need to call it a thing when it's openly discussed in the campaign? There's cards that exist, but do people know that I'm going to say it, Turn Back Time exists without meaning that they missed it?
If they've illicitly looked at a part of the scenario guide that they weren't supposed to, by accidentally opening the thing and having it on the wrong side,
You open the card pack and there's a scenario card with Turn Back Time written at the top. It's difficult to completely miss.
It sounds like there's pretty good consensus among us to pick over. Is that right? Does anyone want to disagree with that?
You're gonna say over?
Let's pick over and let's not wager. I would say. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no wager.
All right. We're done.
So the answer is about a third.
Wow.
What? A third of people.
4%.
A third of people have. Oh my god! It's so hard to do. You have to win like 4 specific scenarios to get the.
That's what I was gonna say.
The first time I played this, I got it on accident, and I don't know if maybe because Dane led me that way because he had played it before, but.
We had pseudonym in chat say if this is higher than 5%, then people misunderstood the question, which I basically kind of agree with. So yeah.
Or we're learning something about the people that responded to this.
That's true.
Also, we're all stuck at home. We have like way more time to do this now.
That's also good.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think that kind of what I was saying, where once you know about its existence, you might like, oh, what's this new scenario card that's called Turn Back Time, and then like you go back and try to execute it. It's just I'm surprised because it's so much harder than doing it like either of the paths, because of the squids and things. But wow.
All right, team AC. What do you still have control?
Oops.
One maybe. We're real bad at this. Oopsies.
So let's see if you'll oops it into control. All right. How many players have failed an attack against an enemy in a teammate's threat zone and defeated them by accident? So a mistimed shotgun blast or.
I've hit enemies or hit allies before, but I never actively go when I know that I could kill them. Unless it's absolutely dire.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes you just don't get that. You don't get that choice. You're like with a Norman who can't who's like a tiny old shriveled up man, and like you're on like the last thing that he has to investigate or something, and like you have to get this enemy off of him or something. I mean it's less than 50%, right? Would you say so, or would you say it's higher than 50%?
Yeah, I'd probably go around a third.
Somewhere like that.
I'm inclined to agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
You locking it in? A third is that 33 or 34?
33.
Let's do 33.
Okay. All right, Team Baron Samedi.
Ben, what's your initial take on this?
I'm trying to remember how many times
Have you done
I've
it?
been or killed somebody. It's definitely happened. Was it my fault? I did play Guardian a lot earlier on.
My thinking is that people that if you're basically aware of what's going on with the board state, you would only actually make that attack, even if you knew you were safe except for tentacles. You probably would, if you had an extra click, you would engage the enemy first, or you would like do something like you wouldn't attack it while it's in their threat area unless you like really had to, right? So I think people, this is something you can usually be aware of and try to avoid, or is that like assuming too much?
I think a lot of people learn not to do that by killing their teammates.
Well, but don't you think that they maybe learn that that's part of the game rules by hitting someone like non-fatally by accident, and then from then on they're like, oh, I should be careful?
That's true.
I don't know.
I still think
don't have
it
an
might be a little
actual
higher, but
yeah.
I think the real question is how big is that unless you really have to window.
All right, Team Baron Samedi, lower
Yeah,
or
we
higher?
got it narrowed down. They picked 33. I kind of want to go under. What do you guys think?
I want to go under.
Okay.
Ben, Tim, everyone okay?
I kind of want to go over, but I'm fine with under.
I was leaning towards over, but
I don't know.
under's fine too.
Okay, let's go under just so we keep things moving.
All right. Good thing you went under because the answer is 32.
Whoa!
Wow.
So Team Ashley Clark does get 4 points for this, but you get 1.
Yes, back in it, baby.
Hey, there we go.
Wait, you're still behind. Team Ashley Clark, you
They
get
closing the gap.
Team Ashley.
Only by one. Only by one.
All right. Go ahead and choose a category.
Let's go Carcosa. I love it.
1 or 3.
Love it.
3. Let's go for all the beans.
How many players have been permanently committed to an insane asylum?
145% of solo players.
Of Lola players.
Solo players.
Oh, solo players.
Yeah, it's very hard on solo.
Is that right?
I feel like there's a really high amount of people who play this in solo, but there's also like another percentage of people who like play double-handed, two-handed in solo. So
I think there's a lot of people that exclusively play this multiplayer, right?
yeah, I would say it's like in the 60s, maybe. What do you think?
I was going in like the 40, 50 kind of range too, but I'm always wrong, so go ahead.
I mean, you did a third. You and Mike did a third, and that was like pretty spot on. So
Players?
I was thinking that it'd probably be a little bit lower than 60, so I'm finding that like 45-ish range.
Works for me.
Okay.
let's go with it.
45. Lock it in.
45. Okay. Team Baron Smetty.
I think there's a lot of solo players, and I think it's higher than that. I think
Yeah, I mean, this is the four of us on the podcast tend to play 3 to 4 player most of the time, so I feel like we're not as aware of how things work in solo. But I've heard, yeah, it's like really hard for this in solo, and it seems like way more of the community are like serious solo players than I usually kind of think. So I don't know. This one's really tough. So you think over, Tim?
I do. But
Playing primarily 3 or 4 players, have you been permanently committed?
I've seen this happen once to one person in the group, and I've probably played this scenario 7 or 8 times at least.
Who may or may not be in the chat.
Yeah, that's a real possibility.
You want to lock this in?
What do you think, Ben?
I mean, I don't think I've had it happen to anyone in my groups. So I would lean towards maybe. It just hasn't happened once though. So if you play a lot of times, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. Either way. I abstain. Very helpful.
Not cool. Not helpful. Let's just go over unless there's any objections. Going once, twice.
Over.
Sold. Okay, great. Sold. Over.
Over. Okay.
Not wagering.
Not wagering. Okay. The answer is 55, which is slightly outside. I think you're like 2 points outside of
the perfect outcome for Team Baron Samedi.
So Team Baron Samedi gets 1 point, and Team Ashley Clark gets the control.
So close.
So close.
It's a tough one.
So I'm keeping time. Do we have until 8 or do we have until 7:30 for this? Or does anybody have a hard stop?
Is there another event starting at 7:30 or 8?
I believe the next one is at 9.
Was there anyone?
I think
thought
so,
the Mythos
too.
was doing their draft thing currently, but
Yeah.
this.
So let's try to finish at 8 then. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
All right.
Or half an hour from now because we're in a bunch of different time zones.
We'll
Sure, yeah.
we'll kind of start wrapping it up around 8, but I think that we could probably answer these questions if we kind of keep at it. Team Ashley Clark, what do you think?
Oops 2.
Oops 2.
Sold.
Have you ever broken the rule of Althar?
Why would anyone do this?
I don't know what that is.
How many monsters are collective out of 105 people is the question.
Maybe you...
Would people even like role play and do that?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm gonna come clean. I did this once as Joe Diamond because I could not evade cats, and I would die and not be able to play one of my favorite scenarios of all time if I didn't do it. There it is. I said it.
Monster.
All right.
I would
Do you wanna make a
never do
guess?
such a thing. So
Yeah, even Ben would never do this, and Ben normally wants to get every single story path possible.
This
What
is
What's
this is
that?
like low.
Yeah, the if I remember correctly, the enemy cats that you can get if you're a horrible person have a victory on them.
You could pet them.
They unfortunately do, yeah.
All right. What do you guess?
I'm gonna go, I want to say like 6 to 8%, but like just because like if we're wrong, then we'll be wrong, but also have expected the best of Arkham Horror, the card game players.
Like,
Taking a moral ground.
I think it would probably still be a little bit higher, maybe in the 15-ish range, because like, there's the victory point on them also, so that might be enticing for some people.
ASP,
Yeah, I vote 15.
ASP245 says, if you'd sacrifice Duke for an achievement, what would you stop you from this?
I guess cat lovers versus.
So what was your guess?
We'll go with like 15.
15?
Does that sound all right to everybody? Or
I'm fine.
Sure.
all right.
So
Let's
I
do
guess
that.
Brandon from Optimal Play gunned down enough cats to let God sort them out in a single turn. Oh gosh. Team Baron Samedi, what do you have to say about this?
so what did they say?
They said it was 15, right? My
15.
my first thought when we heard this question was, what does that even mean again? So we should always keep in mind that some proportion of people taking the survey might have had the same reaction, and it's anyone's guess what they would say, right?
But then they haven't have done that thing, right? Unless they didn't know.
There is something specifically that asks if you broke the rule or not in the campaign guide, but Right now, I've seen that.
How many multiplayer groups do you think have like one person that mostly handles the campaign log stuff and everyone else just kind of like is worried about their own deck? Because that's how it usually is.
Everybody except Dan is extremely committed to the story and is very invested in all the story texts, read by whoever does the best voices in the group, or whoever grabs the campaign log.
Fair enough. I don't know. Oh, okay, so it's 15. So it's like, do we think it's really, really, really low? Do we think it's under 15?
I don't think so. I think enough people will have gone, hey, I kill monsters, this is a monster, therefore it dies.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think enough people will either want the XP or didn't understand the question or are jerks or just wanted to see what would happen. That like all those categories put together maybe gets you a little bit above 15, right?
Yeah, go higher.
Higher?
Yeah, let's
Locking
go
in
higher.
higher?
Yeah,
All
unless
right.
going once,
Sure.
twice, gone. Okay.
So the original guess was 15, and the answer is 14.
Oh man,
Yes.
they keep doing this. They keep like almost getting like 4 points at a shot.
They still get 4 points. Oops.
Yeah.
And Team Baron Samedi, you went higher, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Turn
So now-
GFI.
So now that the tables have been turned, Team Baron Samedi, you get to choose.
Hey, we finally get to pick one. Who wants to pick?
Remind me again, is the higher numbers worth more points, or
Yeah.
is these just like the 3 choices from the category?
I can we do a circle undone one? That's the thing I played most recently. What do you guys think about circle undone for 2? Okay,
Let's go for it.
let's do it.
How many players have aided the Silver Twilight Lodge in achieving its ultimate goal?
I assume this means actually getting the, let's say, premature ending to the campaign. Does that sound right?
I guess means you
Seems
the
accurate.
loyal all through and through path, which
But-
I've obviously done because I wanted to experience that story path.
I think this is another one that would be more likely to happen on blind runs because I feel like if you're just like, oh yeah, let's play Circle and Done again, you might want to avoid the one that ends the campaign early, even if it doesn't count as like a bad ending.
Yeah,
But-
actually,
How do you know that until you've done it?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think that people might have this happen to them once and then not do it again, but that they still did it once, maybe, right?
Yeah, it's
I-
not particularly hard to find. You've just got to follow the I'm going to trust the lodge path, and you probably end up here.
So, do we think it's above or below 50? Maybe above?
I think above.
Do we think it's above or below 70?
I think it's below that.
I think it's
But
pretty
I don't really
close
know.
to that.
it's like 65.
What if? Yeah, can we go 70 maybe? 65 is fine. So somewhere in there. What do you guys think? 67 for like just 2/3.
67.5.
All right, 67.
Let's do 67. Lock it down.
Okay. Team Ashley Clark. This feels weird to ask, but do you think it's higher or lower than 67?
I like being asked this question.
Right?
This is a strange change of pace. I don't know how
I
to
know.
respond now. But I would say probably lower. Just because, like,
Lean to
ending
law
your
of average.
campaign prematurely.
What do you say?
I also think it's lower, mostly because on my one solo playthrough of TCU, I wanted to aid the Silver Twilight Lodge, and then I lost the scenario when you need to in order to like finish their thing, and then I was like, oh, this took a weird turn. So, just my point being that you have to be following this path, and then you got to do the other thing, a couple boxes to check. So I'd go less, maybe not a lot less. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say less, but let's not wager.
Okay, you're gonna lock in.
That's fair, that's
Lock in less. How many? You good? All right.
Yeah.
Do it.
Hey, let's go last.
How many players have aided the Silver Twilight Lodge in achieving its ultimate goal? It's 38.
Wow.
Hey.
Very low.
I've had a lot
Still
of people.
38 people who are like, ooh, this Carl Sanford guy seems on the up and up. I want to hang out with him.
I figured out the strategy. It's to completely put all of my confidence in my team and not me. So good job, team.
It's also, I really think that you can get pretty far in this type of game by always picking closer to the center than the other team. Right? Like you're going to be wrong sometimes, but like if you don't have any really strong opinion, like that's probably the strong way to go. You know?
I mean, there was a 95 in there earlier, but I think
That's
everybody
true,
knew.
yeah.
Everybody knew that it would be pretty high. All right.
And you guys didn't bet towards the center in that one.
I am a little surprised with this because I did a blind playthrough with my friends, and while reading the story text, I did my best like Emperor Palpatine voice for Carl Sanford the whole time. And we stayed loyal to the lodge and got that ending. So
Oh, you
Can
did.
we we like wager that Ben has to speak in his Emperor Palpatine voice for the rest of the game show?
Would
Ew,
you?
I don't want that.
Do it.
Or you convince him to do that, and I might give you a point. Team Baron Samani, what do you say?
Somebody else pick because I picked last time and we lost.
This is great. We can just hang back.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yep.
Could finish off the circle and done. See if it does us any better.
Sounds good to me.
All right, circle and done. How many players have banished all four heretics?
No one ever.
Is this like, it's very hard on like 4-player, which is the main way that I've played Circle and Done. Is it any easier on like 1 or 2 player? I'm sure the
Way
answer is
worse.
no, because
No.
it's
Way
even
worse.
harder. Yeah, that's.
I feel like
that's
it
kinda
would be
what I
much
thought.
harder.
Yeah.
I succeeded on this once, and it felt like because we got like pretty lucky with which ghosts we had, like one of them was gone. It's looking.
I've succeeded on it twice.
Oh.
But once it was playing Pendant Mandy, so it doesn't even count. So
Oh, you just magically appear everywhere.
yeah, I just teleported everywhere. I basically did it myself. It was amazing. Okay, so we're thinking low for this one, right? So like under 25%.
Yep. I'd put it at around 10, maybe.
I don't think
put
we
it
should
a little
ever-
higher than that, but I think under 25.
So some people play on easy mode. Some people like play on easy mode and like pick their weaknesses and stuff just because they're just trying to have a good time and they don't really care about like challenges and stuff, which is fine. Like, do we want to take that into account at all? I think even on easy, this would still be hard because like the tests are
think so,
easier, but you still don't have that many actions to do it. What do you guys feel about guessing 10%?
I think it could be a little bit higher.
I would want to go higher.
You can get lucky
Yeah.
with the placement and like be able to not. If you don't have to run around the board to move all the guys around, then it's like a lot easier. And then you can get lucky You can get lucky.
What if
you don't even have to move around? I think you just have to like kill one and like
so like 15?
one or something. Yeah.
I think that if I were them, I would not want us to pick 15 because like I feel like 15 is where it's like hard to pick whether it should be above or below.
Sounds like a good place to be then.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Everyone good with that?
15? All right.
Okay, let's lock it down.
Team Ashley Clark. How many players?
Dan was right. I really didn't want you to pick 15.
It's because when you guys pick 15, I was always like, damn it, right? Like,
I think it's less. I literally think it's like 5 people.
It is really
think, like,
difficult.
So there's one thing that I wanted to mention too, and pseudonym in the chat also echoed it. It's just that it is very random. I've heard like when I would say that this is extremely hard. I don't know how anybody did this. Some guy in the chat would just be like, I mean, it's really random. I did it the first time I tried it, and it's like, oh, okay, because it is technically like it's hard. I don't know.
I was about to say that was my biggest complaint about that entire campaign was a lot of it seemed random. So I think by chance, especially with a guess of 15, us guessing higher, probably a little bit more solid than we think.
That's fair.
Higher?
Dan did just say
Mm-hmm.
it's better to just guess whatever's closer to the middle when you're going second.
That is true.
You wanna,
So yeah, let's play.
You want to go much higher? That would be 31% or more.
You're
Or, I'm
still
sorry,
being
no,
elite if you
what's 15
double-
plus 7?
I don't think I'm
20.
comfortable with sacrificing.
No,
I feel
not on
like-
this one.
I'm definitely not.
Yeah, let's just do just a little bit higher. but I wouldn't be surprised if it were lower.
All right, so the guess was 15. The answer is 23.
Wow.
Wow.
So
1 out of 4?
So you're out of
Wow.
range. You don't get points.
I mean, it's like I said, people play on easy. You know, who knows what happens?
I've never done this.
That's the thing, because like I feel like there's just enough randomization to where like if you get to like one of them could just be like right where they need to go. You know, like sometimes you'll just get like 3 out of the 4 that are just, oh look, I'm already here, and then you can just banish them immediately.
All right.
I was about to say mine all had to go across the board all the time.
Right?
You got
Or it's
to
just
put
23
some
people
like
who played Mandy.
open
Yeah.
decks or
I'm
open gates.
definitely surprised. I think it might just, again, we have to keep remembering that it's like, how many people have done this at least once if they've played Circle and Done like 10 times, you know?
Also, how many people like Mystics and have had taken like 2 to 3 Mystics with like 3 open gates each, so like every single location is just connected.
Did
Yeah,
you do
or Luke or Pen and Mandy. Yeah.
Did you guys do a Circle Undone run with all Mystics? Was that?
It was all Guardians.
All
We did all
Guardians.
of our
Oh, yeah, that
Guardians,
was-
and we got all 4, but yeah.
Oh, I guess I've done it twice then. Now I think about it.
It was really hard.
I've never done it.
I forgot we did that in the Guardian run.
All right.
All right, Team BS.
Team BS.
So we still have control because
Yep.
we keep losing. Okay. Well, Circle and Done is gone. So there's Flexes, Carcosa, Dunwich, and Corset left. What do you guys think is our best shot?
Oh, why would you
Wanna
course?
do a
Okay.
We can do a flex.
1 or 3.
I like Flex. Let's do Flex. Flex 1.
Flex 1. How many players have identified the stone, translated the glyphs, interpreted the dreams, and identified the solution in a single campaign?
Huh.
Is this Ben? Ben, did you do this?
What? No, I did not do it.
Making up achievements over here?
Very recently played with someone that was trying to do that, and they might have. Now that I think about it,
I
don't
think
think
I've done 3 of the 4. I think
You know
all
what?
4.
I think they didn't have the stone.
All 4 is like you have to like be bored enough to just make your deck that
You
is
have to.
entirely trying to do this, and it's also it has to be recent because this includes Dream Diary, which is in the newest set, and you probably don't try to do this if you're playing like Dream Eaters or like Core Set because there's fewer scenarios. You like it would be not worth it. Maybe I'm just trying to narrow it down a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think it's fairly low because you have to be. You have to like go out of your way to be like, oh, I want to do all the unidentified things.
This is also one that's like, is it even possible to do this in solo, or would anyone try to do it in
I
solo?
mean, it's obviously possible, but I don't know if it's.
I guess for like memes, like if you were like
Otherwise,
looking for like an interesting thing to stream yourself doing on solo, like maybe this would be it or something.
All right, what do you think?
25% too high, too low. What do you guys think?
Too high, I think.
Too
High.
high. 15. Too high, too low.
I say like
Mm.
5 or 10. You know.
I don't think we should.
I don't want to go too low though.
We
'cause
should never guess lower than 10 because
We want to be within 7 of.
Yeah, we want to be. Well, we want. Yeah, exactly. Let's. If you want to, I would do like maybe 8%. How does that sound to everybody?
I'd be happy with 8.
Sure, 8's fine with me.
Let's going once, going twice. Let's lock it down at 8%.
All right. 8. Team Ashley Clark.
So, pseudonym in the chat. I realize there's a billion situations in Arkham where you could say this, but Mandy could probably do this fairly easy. I think that's very true. I also think that like shrewd analysis makes this considerably easier.
Reaver,
I might think it's a little higher,
Reaverman says,
like just because there are people who could just like, oh, let's just get all the things in shrewd analysis and see what our deck looks like.
Yeah, I would lean like. Aside from that, also just the probability with so much range that it being a little bit higher, at least.
Also, like this isn't necessarily even just one person, right? Like you could be running 2 seekers, and one seeker could have the stone and the glyphs. Another one could have like the dreams and the solution.
that's an interesting question because it does go in the campaign log.
Yeah, it's true. It's not necessarily like one person has done it. It's like, have you done it with your team? Oh yeah, we did this once before. So I might say it's a little bit higher.
I'm
What do
going
you
to
guys
say
think?
higher on 2 accounts because I think this is pretty unlikely, and I don't think shrewd analysis makes this any easier to do. I think if you go in, say, hey guys, we should do this, and let's say it's, I don't know, quarantine and the entire world is locked down, and you don't have anything else going on. So you make a Marie, Akachi, Mandy, Daisy team or something, and then they all take one of these. So I'll go higher just because they said 8. I mean, in my heart of hearts, I think it's like 2, but obviously we're wrong. It's going to be like 35. So maybe we just maybe we just go higher.
You're all
say
wrong.
higher?
It's 88. It's like, what?
You're gonna go much
Yeah, I'd
higher
say
or just
higher.
regular higher?
I think we'll
Just
just say
right.
standard higher.
I'm glad we didn't ask about the what's the Innsmouth one that's gonna come out where you just have to curse your whole team. But the answer is it's 13.
Okay.
13, which gives
Whoa.
Wow.
gives Team Baron Samedi 3 points and
That's not
Ashley
bad.
Clark 1.
I do. I wonder. Like, I definitely interpret it as one person, one deck has to do all 4 of these things. But that would definitely bump it a little bit higher if it's like it counts if multiple people are each doing different ones.
Because it's just identified for the whole team, right? Like on the
Yeah,
campaign log?
But it's asking, have you identified the glyphs and do all that stuff, right?
Yeah. So I wonder
Because when
whether
you
our
write it
pollers
down,
did.
you write down like you have identified. I don't know. Whatever. We should move on. But
Continue. Team Baron Samedi.
we're still behind. Damn it.
We have about 13
gained a
minutes to
little
go. So we'll probably do a couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up.
Who hasn't picked one yet or had input to picking one? So somebody just pick something.
Tim, what do you want?
Yeah,
Core 1.
Core 1.
let's do it.
Let's do it. How many players have wondered if their Lita Chandler card was missing?
Ed, when you first played this, because I think you taught me the game, so you might have already found Lita at that point. Did you think she was missing?
Yes.
What about you, Tim? When you first played, were you unable to find Lita?
Was that to Dane?
Tim.
Oh, Tim.
Oh yeah, I couldn't find it. I didn't have to post in order to find it, but I eventually found it, but it took me a while.
And,
So I definitely wondered.
Yeah,
Was Lita missing?
It sufficient time ago. I have no memory of this, so I think I voted no. But
remember, it's just wondered. It doesn't have to be like really worried and like post on the forums to see if it was missing. It just has to be like, is that gone? But I feel like you would have forgotten about it maybe unless you were aware that this was like a meme. So that's the only thing that makes me think it might not be like 100. Like it might be lower than we would initially think as like a joke. But I think it is pretty high.
It is real high, at least above 90. What do you guys think?
I don't know that I'd want to go that high though.
What percentage of people do you think who are answering this survey like bought a core set and have like opened up all the scenario cards and like set up a scenario for people to play with versus maybe, I mean, I guess if enough people are solo, then that happens. I keep thinking like, are there people that like play with their friends and they're not the one that sets up the scenario very much or something?
Yeah, it's possible. Tim or Curtis, what do you guys think for a number?
I think I'd push lower than 90, but possibly not a huge amount.
I think it's highish, but not
I like somewhere
maybe like
80s,
70s.
maybe. Yeah, 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to go below 70 or above 90? Going once, going twice. Okay, what about what if we pick 80? Who wants to go higher or lower than that?
I'd say maybe a little lower.
A little lower, but yeah.
77. The year Star Wars was released. That's
Wanna
a
go
lucky
77?
number. That's the only reason I mentioned it. I like 77. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's do that.
All right. So before I ask Team Ashley Clark, Silent Monotone says there's a mini badge on Board Game Geek for this now.
Quick,
What?
go find out how many people have it.
All right, Team
Those
AC.
are like achievements of boarding league, are they not?
I'm gonna just throw out like higher.
Higher.
I mean, I think that the key word here is wondered. I think that like everybody, when they buy their core set, they have no idea about like any of the mechanics in this game. Maybe like I guess maybe there's a possibility that they learn from somebody else, but like when you buy your core set, like it's not a very straightforward thing to have to go through all the cards, sort them out, player cards and counter cards, and like you might just like straight up miss it. I vaguely remember like not being able to play and having like two friends just sit there for a while I was like, where the hell is this one card?
What do you think? Higher, lower than what did we say?
I think the fact that it's
77, I think.
We said 77.
like kind of is overinflating our association with this. I'm like, I know I may not be typical. Like I went through and did literally sort through everything and like, okay, here's my Lita Chandler card, and like I just laid out everything and put them all together. Like I could go higher, but like I'm leaning more towards maybe a lower.
I think it is a common thing. I don't know if it's a high percentage of people thing, so gun to my head, I'd say lower.
You gonna lock in lower?
My gut's lower as well. Just
I
because
will
a lot of people
trust
like
my team.
get taught the game.
Dane, you gotta get some input in here. You can't just.
I will
Dane,
go with
you're
trusting my team because that is
team leader.
Do you want to go?
after I discovered the strategy of discovering my team, we shot up about 11 points.
Do you want to go?
So
do you want to go
that.
much lower?
No wager?
No wager.
No wager.
All right. So I just want to share that one time Dane and I we had a friend that just stopped playing Arkham Horror, and they said that they were frustrated because the card went missing, and then we just looked at each other, looked unknowingly. Okay.
We knew exactly what they were talking about.
That's
All
pretty
right.
good.
Unfortunately, I don't know who answered these questions, but it was 25.
What?
Wow.
People are just straight up lying about this now. This isn't even. That's not believable.
I think
What?
it might be maybe they tried to Farcom flex, just say that they didn't miss their card.
Maybe a lot of people when they buy a box of cards, the first thing they do is dump it onto the ground and shake it out, and then they individually look at each card. Rather than,
I got it. It's 25.
yeah.
So we probably have time for one more question, but I wanted to kind of take some time to say that I wanted to thank Mythos Busters. I say Mythos, and Farcom Con for doing a fun thing. But we also have a Patreon, and I don't have the link, but someone in chat support that. We just launched that last week, and we're looking for just a way to kind of keep the show going and let us do fun stuff, and see the kind of people that are interested in listening to the show or having seeing some of our content in there. So we'll be releasing a lot more things. We have a $2 kind of starting option, but we're gonna add more in the future. But if you like things like this, follow us on Twitch, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, and do the same for Mythos Busters and everyone else that you've caught their content. Did you guys have any other acknowledgements?
Thanks to all of these cool people who joined us to be parts of our teams. And Dane mentioned that he's relied on them a lot. I think we have too. So thanks very much to Tim and Curtis in particular for helping us out.
It's been a pleasure.
All right.
You guys have we wouldn't be at 16 points if it were just me. So thank you guys. And thank you, Harrison.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks, Harrison.
Let's finish this up. So Team Baron Samedi, you could still win this, but why don't you go ahead and select us our final category?
I don't want to pick it. Who? Somebody else.
Carcosa won.
Carcosa
All right.
won.
Excellent.
Yeah, Carcosa. Woo!
That's a good choice.
This is my favorite question. How many players have burned down a mansion and trapped partygoers in the Inferno?
We've all been
That's
there.
got to be high, right?
You're drunk. Been a long night. You see a house and you're like, hey, I could just set this on fire. Everyone's done that, right?
It's what you do in Arkham, right? You set houses on
Feels high to me. Yeah, I mean, like Ben and I have been playing even long before this game came out. We would play like Arkham Horror or Call of Cthulhu and other various games, or Cthulhu-inflected D&D, and we very early came up with a rule that anytime you have a chance to set anything on fire, you just have to do it. Especially if it's anything that's like written material, like a book. Don't even think about it. Just immediately say yes and light it up. So that's where we're coming from on this. So like 75%, is that too low or too high? Like just as a starting point, do we want to go above or below 75?
I don't think
that'd
below.
go higher.
We could go up a little higher.
I think Carcosa is like the consensus fan favorite campaign still.
And people play it so much.
People have done both the doubt and conviction routes through it. Most people, I would say. So I think this is really high. What about like 85? Too low, too high?
I think that's probably pretty good.
Yeah. Let's do 85. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, okay. Let's do 85. We'll lock it in.
Locking in 85. Team Ashley Clark. What do you think?
So before we discuss, I just want to point out that if we guess something that's right and we get 1 point, we go up to 17. Baron Samedi gets something right, also goes up to 17. Could be a tie game.
Only if they get it right on the nose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys are in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think 85 is pretty high, but
We need a
could wait.
tiebreaker, so
You could
make sure
wager.
you have your chat ready, Harrison, to decide who wins.
You could wager, and then you could take that out of the question.
Yeah, go double or nothing. Do it.
Yeah, I don't think we should wait.
it's probably lower, right? Like, and if it's
It's probably lower just because 85 is a high number.
That's what I'm thinking.
You,
I wouldn't go over 85, so I guess we got to go under.
You're gonna
Yeah,
be
but
much higher or much lower.
Don't wager.
No. Yeah, I'm with that. No wager.
So
Cowards.
So
Cowards.
So the guess is 85, and the other team, Ashley Clark, guessed lower than that. Well, let's see how the points go, because the answer is 80.
Oh
Team-
no, that's
Team
like the
Baron
worst.
Samedi gets. Wait, they get 16 points. And Team Ashley Clark, what did you do? Did you say lower?
we did lower.
And
Lower.
the answer was correct. Right? Is that right?
It was.
Oh man, so close.
Oh man, if you guys got one more, if it were
So-
like, if you guys like 82 or something, you would have had.
If
4
we
points.
said like 83 or something, then it would. That's that's pretty close.
So Team Ashley Clark is our winners.
Hey,
All right.
good job, team.
I guess we can figure out what the prizes
I'm
were.
proud of
'cause
all
we
of you.
didn't talk about them. But we got some promos. I'm gonna send everybody home with our charisma promos. We have some play mats. I think we have some old Invocation mats if you didn't attend yours. But yeah, thanks for the chat as well. We'll be reaching out to some of you through whispers, I guess, to announce if you win some. But did anybody have any last thoughts?
As the winning team captain, Dane has won the power drill that's on the table behind Ben in Ben's camera back there. So congratulations.
Nice, nice.
It's what I've always wanted. Now I can hang that Lola poster up.
I'll tell Kim the unfortunate news. That she's lost her power girl. Yeah. I don't know. Did we plug the rest of FarcomCon yet? We should do that.
So
I think Harrison mentioned it. Yeah.
There's a bunch of more events. There's stuff going on Sunday. In the beginning of the chat, I think some of us were talking about some of the silly campaigns that were going on. There's a Silent Hill custom scenario. What have been some of your highlights in chat or for people that are here?
I liked the tempo and momentum panel they did yesterday. Scott.
Oh, I
and
didn't catch that. I forgot
a few
about
other
that.
folks did that. I like that. It was pretty informative. I thought that I might be probably send a few players that I play with to it. That maybe help figure out those concepts.
Yeah, well,
Snakes on a Train was definitely a hoot. I recommend it.
was that a Matastrophic campaign?
Yeah, it was a good time.
Nice.
The trivia show yesterday was shockingly difficult.
I did so
So
poorly.
kudos to Matt for coming up with questions that are really almost impossible to answer unless you're absolutely obsessed with the game.
Unless you're literally mad.
Those were some pretty fun questions.
But I think tonight there's the Mythos After Dark at 9 Eastern, and Danny and Harrison, I think, are going to be popping into that at some point.
Yeah. Hopefully.
We are.
I'm unfortunately unavailable, but I think a lot of community creators will be popping into chat. So
I can't go because it won't be dark in California yet. So
it's an interesting excuse. You're gonna be like biking or something up a hill. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly correct.
I'm told there will be alcohol, but I'm not sure how it's going to be distributed to viewers. But
USB.
Just so just so that you don't feel like you lost opportunity, let's just quickly go through some of the answers that we didn't answer. So,
Nice.
Players that were defeated when their train car was sucked into a portal, half.
Exactly
Wow.
50.
So
Wow.
low.
I probably would have gone higher on
Seems
that
low.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Players that added all 6 Midnight Max cultists to the victory display. I guess is it still 6 in Return to? Like, do you pick 6?
Yeah, it is.
Well, anyway,
Like
it's
9.
44. I still haven't done it, but I want to go back.
Interesting.
Next.
Yeah, I would have said maybe like a third or
Stole
so.
luggage. We
Once
got
you realize
70?
Wow, I'm surprised. I'm
49%.
surprised it's that high.
I think
once you realize it doesn't do anything, you could do it every time.
This is like the Paragon Renegade thing where most players either really want to steal the luggage or like, no, of course not. I don't want to do that.
And then they teased you with a similar choice with the box office, which I was scared to do. Want a campaign on expert guild difficulty?
5%.
That's
Probably
tough.
lower.
I'd say like 20 maybe.
I think
Want a
the actual
campaign, though.
the actual wow.
So that's
4%.
so that's the
That's
ultimate
not great.
Farkum flex.
And I bet like half of them are lying. So it's probably actually 2%.
I'm gonna say most people don't play expert, and then they do it just to say they did it and try it, and then like never do it again because they're like, "Wow, I got eaten alive! Like that was terrible." So, kudos to the 4 who
Here's the
did
even
it.
spicier statistic. Won a campaign as Lola Hayes on expert difficulty.
I mean, just do the will to survive combo, easy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, if you're gonna play expert, definitely play the Lola combo. Go for it.
So if you haven't already registered, I know there's we're on Twitch. Check out Farkum.heysummit.com. I think that's what it is, or whatever it is, and see more events. If you'd like to see more of this, feel free to support the show by registering, and maybe they'll do more of these if for some reason Gen Con gets canceled next year. If dummies don't, I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see how well we do it. People wearing masks. It's really hard. So,
And next Thursday, Dane and Harrison are playing Weaver the Cosmos, right? Live on Twitch. So
Weaver the Cosmos.
Yep.
And then the week after that, you guys are finishing your campaign in Dreamlands.
That's true.
Where the gods dwell.
Where the gods dwell.
Where Gnarly P dwells.
So thanks for our contestants. Thanks, Dane, Dan, and Ben. Thanks for your in the audience. Hope you had fun. I really did. We'll announce all of these statistics somehow in the future, but I hope you have a good rest of the con. And I'm going to be at the Big Blob tomorrow. Hope to catch some of you there. But if you ever wanted to hang out or anything, you could chat us up or follow us on Patreon or wherever you get your podcasts. But anyways, thank you so much for your time.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.